Sadashivasamarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste Om Shvara. We begin today from the verse 13. My devotee is a non-hater of all beings, is friendly, compassionate, free from the notion of mine, I and mine. Is same in the comfort as well discomfort, and it is in forbearance. So it begins describing the features of the highest bhakta. Now we have seen that Yana bhakta is the highest level of bhakti, So we have to understand why the Krishna is coming around, and then he's just, highlighting bhakti as the most important sadhana, quote unquote, because without this reverence, love, and appreciation, the ego somehow goes into the usual delusion of that voice that says, "Oh, I know how to get enlightened. I know how to get self-realized. I." And then he forgets that the blessing of the Lord is manifesting moment to moment through my life. All Parabhada is perfect. All pleasure and pain serve a purpose. And if now I have a desire for self-knowledge, the ego has to come out of the way, otherwise it's going to be an obstacle, because self-knowledge is the recognition of your true nature beyond the ego. If the ego is still strong, it's going to stand on the way. Therefore, the individual has to go through this process of devotion, recognition of the Lord, recognition that we live within the Lord. We are integral parts of Ishvara, manifest as the universe. This recognition is fundamental in the process of preparing or purifying, refining the ego, or transcending the identification with this aham, this notion of I and mine. So devotion is absolutely necessary. That's why the verse begins like, my devotee, not my student or my disciple, my devotee. And then he begins describing the character, the personality, or the feature, or the traits of such a highly developed devotee or bhakta. And is a non-hater of all beings, is friendly, compassionate, free from the ego, the notion I am the doer and the enjoyer, and possess everything that I have accomplished or gained through my actions. Now I forget that everything belongs to the Lord, and I remain as a robber. Things I just assumed possession of things that do not belong to me. And in the same way, the wise person, the highly developed bhakta, has vairagya, dispassion, equanimity in regards to all pairs of opposites, including pleasures and pains, comfort and discomfort, and has a mind which is very strong to stand adversities. Is forbearance is a very important trait of a yoni as well. When things are really bad, there is an expression, when things are tough, only the tough ones stand, all the others are going to go down. So the tough ones are the ones with this fortitude, this mental, emotional strength derived from devotion or yana or spiritual balance, spiritual development that brings about this psychological, emotional, mental balance, fortitude. So all of these traits, they are wonderful. The most difficult here is the one that's going to be the most highlighted here, which is a highly evolved devotee or human being, a yani, basically. Never hates any other beings. He's always friendly, compassionate, free from emotion. So this is an ideal situation. Ideally, the scriptures say there is no point of having any emotion of hatred towards anybody. So even someone who's trying to destroy you, it's better you don't hate. And Swamiji is going to present several arguments, among them a very simple one that when I hate someone, I'm hurting myself. It comes even close. The hater is hurting himself. So you are not doing anything helpful to others by hating them, but you are hating yourself. And that we can we can verify in our own experience, because the entire problem of life is to hate something. Every time we hate something, even small little things, oh, I hate this, I hate this, I hate that. When we are really hating something, we are fighting with Ishwara, fight with life. We are contracting our mind, and having those emotional reactions of rejection of what is. So it's better never to hate anything or anybody. But human nature is such that we all are moved from by vasanas. We are organic biological computers moved or governed by our vasanas, and our vasanas come from a long time ago. Some say that from many lifetimes, or even from the vegetal and animal reign, when we are being incarnated, until we move into the human reign. So we have a lot of these uh, bits and pieces or tendencies which come from the animal reign. That's why we say, so you behave like a pig, like an animal. This is your animal nature. Okay. So survival of the fittest, the law of the jungle. I see it around me here. The strongest, they are going to survive by force. We see in the human nation by now as well, by seeing the most powerful nation try to impose by military force all other nations. This is all part of our human nature and our animal nature that still manifests due to lack of purification, refinement of spiritual growth. So how we deal with this verse? Because we all have tendency to feel hate to someone or another, some person. And how can we reestablish Dharma with a loving heart? So people are just going around destroying Dharma, the structure of society, doing what they want to do with the mass, with human beings, and so on. And if we want to understand what's going on, it's very difficult to understand because it's all being discussed and developed behind closed doors. But how are you going to protect and defend the human race, from these people? They don't know what love is. If you go there with love, you know, they cut your head and then they take the flowers and throw in the garbage, you know. So it's a very, very controversial topic, but remains the fact that it's better never to hate. You know, I mean, it goes all the way back to the teachings of Jesus when he says, "Don't hate anybody, forgive everybody. They are moved by ignorance." You know, so if they hit one of your face, so offer the other, but don't hit back, and so on. So all those concepts, they have profound indication of, of of a highly developed human being, you know, a divine human being who understands the situation here, you know, understands how human beings are moved. And fundamentally, when I was still searching, I got into a guru, a teacher, who used to say, he used to work more on the psychological level. He used to say, at the very bottom, ultimately, all players are innocent. He used to see uh, on the psychological level that everybody has reactions which may be immoral or aggressive or this and that, but it's all due to one's hurts and wounds, you know. But fundamentally, everybody is pure, everybody is innocent. We were born out of ignorance. We find ourselves in societies which are totally ignorant. And then, with the best intention, we are programmed to be ignorant and we pass on whatsoever was done to us, almost like mechanically. But at the very, very bottom of our souls, of our heart, we all want to love and to be loved. And then fundamentally, all players are innocent. There is nobody who can be said to be absolutely guilt, you know. So this is one way to see things from a very, very high perspective of wisdom. So we have seen as well, and this is the beginning of this file in which Swami does present us a recap. Yeah. It all comes from that verse that I just read, that the highest devotee does not know what is hatred towards anything or anyone. And then there is a passage, moksha is not a benefit. From this, we can come to know another important thing is a person practices spiritual sadhana, attains liberation, and moksha is not a benefit which is promised after death. Our moksha is a transformation we see one lifetime, our last birth, hopefully. And then one will want moksha only to the degree that one understood the value of moksha rather than go to this or that celestial loka. And for moksha, we need Atmayana. Krishna makes it very clear that our goal here is not traveling to anywhere because the Atma never travels because it's the all-pervading reality, always present, never not present. So Krishna makes a point here that moksha is a state of mind which is the yoni supposed to enjoy while still living in this world. So I remember I highlight this passage because we need to understand that self-knowledge is made out of knowledge and knowledge alone. No, it's just a process by which you understand, assimilate, and internalize the knowledge in respect to your true identity nature. You know, it's made of pure knowledge. But what is moksha? Moksha is a byproduct of self-knowledge. Okay, in the language of Shine World, it used to be present uh, self-realization, self-actualization. James at the time was trying to explain the difference between direct knowledge and indirect knowledge. Indirect knowledge is you can realize that indirectly, but it is not properly internalized. So the total internalization of this law, of this knowledge is what brings about moksha. And moksha is a sense of freedom from what is happening to the body mind, you know, obtaining experience in this world. So moksha is the fruit of self-knowledge. Therefore, moksha is a state of mind. Knowledge is not new, no state is made out of knowledge, is a profound, simple understanding. But moksha, the sense of freedom, is an experience which depends on a state of mind. You're going to enjoy a state of mind after the self-knowledge was properly internalized to the extent that you reap the fruits. And the fruits is a very nice state of mind, a non-problematic state of mind, a mind that witnesses things without strong reactions or concerns or fears or desires towards anything that one may prefer. And therefore, the Jiva Mukta or the Jnani supposedly enjoys the rest of his life while living this world. So when things are put so clearly and honestly like this, and then people, some people will say, "Oh, I thought it was something much more attractive." Hmm? So I thought I was going to have some transcendental, extraordinary powers on states and so on. And here we say that moksha is a state of mind, but is a state of mind which is balanced, a mind that's not subject to the gravitational pull of attraction and repulsion towards one's own prarabdha karma. So it's a mind that is more like a witnessing conscious principle, watching the life, the film, the movie of life project upon our own mind. And we see that not as the mind, but as the witnessing consciousness behind the mind. Therefore, we have a tremendous objectivity towards what happened to our lives. And this objectivity allows the mind to remain detached to pleasures and pains happening to the body mind. So we don't promise nothing after that. After death, we promise you, the scriptures promise us or suggest that we may not come back because there is no enough desire. So that Ishvara is going to get into the trouble to provide us with another instrument. There are so many other souls needing another instrument. So if you don't want anymore an instrument, good. You are done with duality. You are done with experience this physical material universe in which you interact to extract or to convert experience into more knowledge, more understanding. So we need to have moksha, something that can be verified right now, right here. And that's what we're going to see here. So what are the traits of this Jiva Mukta here and now before he leaves the body? This is also used in other way. Suppose you have a doubt whether I am a Jnani or not yet a Jnani, because after all, I have been studying, attending the class for a long time, and I don't know yet if I am Jnani or not, a Jiva Mukta or not. And then we come with the play of giving certificate with the people to the people. About 8 years ago, we had a seminar in Brazil, and then we print certificates we gave to everybody as a joke, as a play. So how am I to know? Very easy. And you can check up all these traits that are going to be present here. You can say, I am Yanni, or no, not yet. I still have to work to internalize this knowledge. The first virtue present in that verse is that a person who does not hurt any being, anything even. It's not only hurting people or hating, not hating people, but hurting circumstance and situation. Because when we hate circumstance, situation, we are hating Ishwara, because Ishwara manifests as our own parabola, It's blessing us moment to moment with parabolas. So therefore, freedom from hatred is the first and the most difficult and most powerful trait. You need to be not only Yanni, but almost a scent like Yanni. Not a seed like Yanni, but a saint like Yanni. We all have a list of people we hate. We feel if he would die, we would have a much better world. So I want to know how far away or close I am to moksha. Get a list, a piece of paper, a sheet of paper, and write down everybody that you hate. You'll see how long your list is. The longest the list, the farther away you are from moksha. Now, Swami elaborates here saying, our scripture says you should not hate anybody. And then he says, but when we hear that, immediately in our mind we say, but, some hates are justifiable because the person is so evil that it's natural to have an impulse to destroy that person. And then the scripture may even come, it's okay if the person is really being moved by so much ignorance, causing so much pain and damage to society. It's okay to destroy that person, but you have to do that with love. So we give a big description of a person and what all negative traits he has got. This is as justify why that person is worth hating. I love to hate that person because the person deserves to hate. And it's enough for us to understand that hating is hurting me again and again. This is the most important point here. We can stay around the philosophy of destroy someone with love, okay? Or never hate somebody who is evil. But we can stick with this most fundamental point. If we hate, we are hurting ourselves. Our mind is contracting, our energy is changing, the discomfort, and the mind is getting all, is declining in terms of discrimination, cognition, clarity. I'm under the influence of very, very low and heavy and dense energy, the energy of hatred. Therefore, it's better we never think in terms of that person deserves hate. So, and then what is the best thing to do nowadays, especially nowadays that we are finally aware of so much hypocrisy and injustice, suppression, and genocides around the world with internet. We get to know so many things. And then the first reaction, oh my God, I hate all these evil people, you know? So maybe a way to go is to reduce to the best possible exposure to all these news, you know? Because otherwise although it can be a test for us, you know, to see how equanimous I am in regards to so much oppression and injustice and cruelty we see in the world. We can see, okay, it's all calm, it's all Parabada. Ishwara is taking care of everything. I trust the order. I don't need to get involved. It's not my duty to get involved. Let the police force, take care of this problem. Let's hope that the Congress is going to take care as well, do something positive, or the judicial. So we stay watching. It's like Arjuna was called to go and destroy the army, but not everybody in the society was called to go and join the battle. Although some circumstance, even common citizens are called to enjoy the fight, extreme situations. So now Swami goes into this elaboration, say that fundamentally every person is intrinsically divine and good. Every person is a pure person. Therefore, there is no impure person in this world. There is no evil personality in this world. Every single jiva is essentially Paramatma, okay? Nitya, Suddha, Buddha, Mukta, blah, 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 blah. So therefore, nobody deserves hatred. No person deserves hatred because every person is a saint. The worst sinner is also a saint. So now, you know that I have no problem to disagree with Swamiji in some of his exposition, understanding very well that he has his reasons to present his commentary sometimes more in one way or the other, because there is a huge contradiction here. So the consciousness, the true nature behind every person, including the worst possible politicians of our nowadays, the true nature of every one of these people is pure, consciousness, you know, is absolutely pure, is absolutely good. So, but that is the true nature of the person. The person is the personality. The personality is the body-mind-sense complex. The body-mind-sense complex is full of impurities. Therefore, to say that the person is always pure is a contradiction in terms. The person is always impure, therefore, he needs to go through a process of purification so that its divine nature, his good nature, can surface, and then one may come to a point of transcending these negative, strong emotions such as hatred. So, but to say that every jiva is essentially Paramatma, that's true, but in one's essential true nature, but not as the person. Okay? The person is impure by nature. Consciousness is the only purity there is because there is no superimposition of any guna, of any attributes, qualities, positives or negatives. So nobody deserves hatred. I would say it's not worth hating anybody, even the people who are the most hating, people who hate so much others, who are so destructive. So it's not worth hating them. Nobody deserves hatred. A person does not deserve hatred, but definitely deserves to be stopped and punished. And one of the punished in the United States is a death sentence. Every person is a saint. I don't agree. Every person is pure consciousness in its true, fundamental, intrinsic nature, but every person is usually far from a saint, therefore needs to go through a process of purification to even begin this process of spiritual elevation. What's the problem? A person's character or actions may be corrupt or wrong. A person is saintly. He says again that the person is perfect and a saint, but their attitude is impure. The behavior of the person is corrupt or wrong, but the person is pure. Again, a problem. A person is a saint, but its behavior is impure, is immoral. Now, the person manifests itself by its thoughts, words, and deeds. If the deeds is immoral, adamic, unrighteous, it means that the person is impure. Okay? It's not that the behavior of the person is impure and the person is pure. If the behavior of the person is impure, the person is impure, but the true nature of the person is pure consciousness. The question we ask ourselves nowadays is, shall I hate such actions then instead of hating a person? I'm going to hate the action, the behavior. There is an expression that I like. Ramji used to present it, never hate the sinner, hate the sin itself. Understand? So meaning to say, hate the ignorance that is compelling the person to sin. So here we are going deeper, say never hate anything, not even the ignorance of the person. Understand that everybody is moved by ignorance. Circumstance has designed one's parameter to the point that one is moved by this huge, huge spiritual ignorance that makes the person an evil person. So now we have the ignorance, and then we have the behavioral actions of the person. There is nothing sent in regards of behavior, and even the nature, the body-mind nature of that personality. There is only impurity there. But, on the other hand, the scriptures here, and the Swamiji has a good point to say, behind that person governed by extreme ignorance, spiritual ignorance, there is an evil person. But behind that evil person, that character, behind the behavior and that mind, that body mind, stands consciousness which is pure. So the ability we have to see the person with compassion, see pure consciousness again manifest and behave so much against its true nature, the true nature of consciousness, or the Lord Ishvara as the original manifestation of our true nature. So how to deal with such a situation? A wrong behavior of a person as well does not deserve hate. Why? Hating is not going to help the person to change, and hating is going to hurt the person who hates. Hatred is never a remedy. If by hate a person you could change the person, and then those most hate people would have been transformed long ago. Then, so how are we going to deal with this? Hate, and I'm going you for half an hour, like radiation treatment. I hate you, I hate you. And after half an hour, the person got only worse. That's the most fundamental, simple truth. To the simple logic to help us not to go into that low energy of hatred. Therefore, a person does not deserve hatred. Behavior of the person does not deserve hatred. If anything, I can say I condemned the ignorance that moving you to do such immoral and cruel actions. So you behave as something to be condemned. and you are going to be condemned. It's like you cannot take the person to court and then condemn the person for its behavior, and say, okay, so I did so many crimes and so on, so I'm going to condemn you. And then the person quotes the Gita and says, no, that is my behavior. But I am the person, I'm not the behavior of this person. So you can condemn the behavior, but not the person. No, that is, you cannot separate the person and its behavior. And that's the point I'm trying to make here. So the person is impure, therefore its actions are impure. The behavior is impure. But hate the person and hate the behavior. So what's the solution? Educating the person. But there are so many people that are far beyond being educated, and we know that. Far beyond. There's no way to educate people when they have gone so far away from the, the point of being re-educated. You see all the penitentiaries around the world, the original idea was to punish them to see if they learn a lesson so that they can be reintegrated in society. Never worked. Never worked. So education is very difficult. We are organic, biologic computers programmed by genetics, if we want to say, which goes for past lives, our vasanas we came with, plus environment, the interaction with our prarabdha in this lifetime. So we have past life vasanas, interaction right now, development of new vasanas, already conditioned by our previous vasanas. I'm going to gravitate around circumstance more or less in synchronicity, in conformity with my vasanas. And there we go. A person is born already with a negative tendency in a negative environment. It's very difficult for the person to turn things around, and it's very difficult for people watching the situation to help the person to redirect one's life. It's not simple. We need to learn to see everything as karma, prarabdha karma in manifestation, and watching everything with a sense of witnessing observation with the least possible emotional involvement with the situation, and remembering it's all prarabdha, it's all karma. I mentioned to you one time I was doing Surya Lila in Spain. I went to surprise Ramji. Last time I met him, I told Vidya not to tell him anything, and then I showed up. It was already the second day of one of his seminars, the last seminar I saw him doing that. And then it was very nice. He was so pleased and so on. And then after a few days, I got some bad news in regards to my son and my granddaughter. And he saw that I got a little bit agitated. I had to stop everything and then go back to Italy, buy a ticket, and go. I think at the time he was in Brazil to help him, or he was in California maybe. So he saw my agitation and said, "Don't be concerned, man. It's all karma." You know. I looked at him and said, "Yes, Ranji, you are right. You know, if I would be seeing objectively the situation, I would say the same thing as you, but I'm involved because I'm a father here." So not only according to Shastra, hating anything is purposeless. The hatred mind is going to be destroyed by hating. Hating is a horrible thing. It's fighting with what it is, it's rejecting, it's saying no to what it is, regardless. Sometimes there is no reason to be fighting with life, which is fighting with Ishvara, because I'm rejecting everything that's happening in my life. But this attitude of rejection, of hating, people, places, and situations, is going to affect the mind very, very negatively. And the person is always saying, no, but it's justifiable. I have to hate all of this because this people is horrible, this place is horrible, this time is horrible. I have it's my right to hate all these things. And how can you make people understand? Sometimes you can't. Okay, if you hate things, you're hating Shwara, fundamentally you are destroying your mind. By hate circumstances are not going to change. I'm adding to here because it's not only about hating people. If I hate my Parabada, I'm not helping my Parabada. The only way is to embrace the Parabada with gratitude, acceptance as an opportunity to re-examine my life, reconnect the dots, and redirect my life, my course of life. Hating things, people, and circumstance is going to corrode and destroy my mind. So truth, so truth. Therefore, already I am affected by other person's misbehavior. Yeah, we all get affected. That's why sometimes it's better not to know much. And now I'm adding to the damage. So I'm already being affected by so much injustice and cruelty we see in this world. And now I'm hating that situation. I'm hating Shwara indirectly. I'm hating the players. Uh, and that is adding more problem to the situation. The damage only increases. What I'm supposed to do? Avoid or decrease or remedy? Shall I avoid knowing what's going on? Some people they prefer not to know what's going on. Some people want to know less, or some people want to go involved trying to remedy the situation or change the situation. But there is only one remedy. A remedy is seeing everything as Ishvara manifesting everyone's Parabdha karma. That's what has pacified my mind in the past months or years, understanding that whatsoever is, será. It's all manifestation of Ishvara. If we have to suffer so much, this Kali Yuga, as supposedly Kali Yuga, as they say, so it is designed by the Lord for some reason, therefore we take it. It's not my nature to fight and become a martyr. In Brazil nowadays, if you expose yourself too much with your opinions, you go to prison. A lot of people are rotting in prisons in Brazil. So I'm only making the situation worse. Fundamentally, the only remedy is love. All we need is love. Pa, 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 pa. Yeah? So if we all would be loved and nourished in that atmosphere and love and wisdom, we would have a different world. But our parents, they are totally victimized by this ignorance. They were grown up in this ignorance. With best intention, they are going to feed us with more ignorance, with that which we came already from our previous births. And it's impossible. That's why to cross the ocean of samsara in this planet is quite a challenge because the ocean is vast, this ignorance is dense, very dense. You have to navigate against all odds to discover the true nature of everyone and everything as pure love, pure consciousness. There is a misbehavior on the part of the person. Misbehavior requires appropriate action, appropriate response. Hatred is not going, but you can punish the person. The method or the best method is re-education. But you see, uh, I have so many audios I shared with Mark when he came here, and they are all audios recorded from 20, 25 or more years ago. On those days, here and there, I catch some Paramartananda saying that even our society, our sampradaya, the Vedic, Vedantic sampradaya, is in total decline. Okay, so if there is any hope, is for this wisdom, this spiritual religious wisdom, to have a positive impact and re-educate people, re-educate the governance, and the political class, and so on. But even Swamiji used to say 25 years that it was being destroyed. So it's very difficult to imagine that things are going to turn around. And I'm not a pessimist person. I consider myself a realist person. But we never know. Ishvara can turn things around when we least expect. But the best possible method is re-education, spiritual, religious education, then scientific education. Everything has to be founded or based on moral, ethic, dharma. That is going to transform the thinking process of every jiva. So that is the education that it does not work. Every nation has been reducing the budget to education, except China maybe, and India. And what to say about spiritual religious education? So they are just trying to suppress it. Goes against the status quo. People are going to see things more clear. So when you failed with education, so what else is left? War, war, war. That's the mantra of nowadays. Third World War coming, start to read, and blah, blah, blah. If things cannot be changed by agreement, find workable solutions, win-win situations. It's impossible nowadays. I don't have any hope anymore. And then there is only one solution, is war. But here we are seeing this not in terms of nation, but person. If a person is so adamant, is so immoral, you try to bring a person back to dharma, to its sense of being a moral person, an ethical person. Okay, removing the problem is that the only solution depends on removal of ignorance. It's very difficult. You cannot transform a person unless you go in the root cause of the problem, which is ignorance, spiritual ignorance. It's very difficult. I mean, to work on the symptoms does not help much, you know. They're like people who are addicted to alcohol. They go to these centers, these groups, and so on. They try to suppress that vasana, but the vasana is there. That's why they say, I am an addicted. They never say, I was an addicted. So, how am I going to able to transform the personality of a person on a non-violent method? And that's what Arjuna was suggested to do during those many years in the forest. He was there, he was deceived, he was in seclusion there, and he was, how you say, when I forgot the expression.
Exiled.
That's
Exiled.
right.
He was exiled there, and he was still trying to find a diplomatic solution, asking for a little concession from Duryodhana's group. And then he had no other option but only war. And then how are you going to go to this war? Go with much love in your heart, because you need to punish these people. But understand, they are being moved by tremendous ignorance. They are impure beings. Fundamentally, they are pure consciousness, pure Brahman, Paramatma. They are the Atma, but they are covered up by a dense veil of ignorance that compels them to destroy the fabric of the Dharma for the sake of getting everything they want, total power. It's what we see in the world nowadays. Punishment and hatred goes together. So, Swamiji, forget about this talk. Okay? If I have to punish them, I have to fight as a warrior. I'm going to have a lot of hate, just, you know, flying through my being, running through my blood, my energy body. There is no possibility of punishment with love, and Swami say that's not true. The best example is a mother is going to punish the child, but always with love. The love of the mother is always there, because the mother, I mean, not all mothers, huh? Most mothers have a sort of unconditional love, but they lose their nerve. And in those moments, I know from my own experience of life, in those moments, they experience hatred, and sometimes they lose it and they beat up the child. I was beaten up quite a few times. On those days, that was okay in the Brazilian society. So, the mother fundamentally loved the child, but here and there, even the mother falls short to as an example of punishment given with total love. Therefore, it's possible to take appropriate step without hatred. This is the challenge. How can Arjuna and his arm fight with love? Therefore, misbehavior requires appropriate action, and the person requires love. None of them, neither the person nor the misbehavior, requires hatred. That we understood. Our human nature makes it in a way that it's very difficult. That may be the ultimate level of spiritual elevation, which is nice, symbolized by Jesus, being crucified and saying, forgive them, Lord, they do not know what they are doing. I don't hate them. The Bible says that he knew that his parabola was going to be the way it went, according to history, the history we have access to, and it manifests in their way, but yet, for some reason, he was not invoking war against the oppressors and the very people destroying his life, punishing him. Therefore, even Krishna may choose, suggest Arjuna to destroy the Adamic force, destroy the army of Duryodhana, but do that not hating them, but there is a necessary punishment. I should not be motivated by hatred, but by Dharma. A good way to put it is, I should not be motivated by hatred, but I need to be motivated by my sword Dharma. I need to reestablish Dharma. I need to protect Dharma, for several reasons. So this is the first qualification of that verse, the most difficult, almost utopic. Now we can check up ourselves. Am I up there, being able to erase all hard feelings or hatred feelings I have towards people? I don't have hard or hatred feelings towards parabolas or situation, but some people, sometimes my blood uh, boils a little bit, and they'll feel like, oh my God, we need to do something to destroy these people. And I don't say that with love in my heart, and I know that. Understanding is better. Understand it's all parabola. Let's see what we can do. And if we do something, let's do as a service to the Lord, avoiding experience the hatred that is going to destroy my own mind, is going to compromise my Viveka Shakti as well. I can have a few exceptions. In the hatred, Swamiji, I cannot love my mother-in-law. She's a pain. I'm sorry, but it's okay to hate my mother-in-law. So, leaving aside all these jokes, we look into the list, we make our own list, and then we see how close we are to be this highly developed Jivan Mukta. So the next file, we have seen the topic here is Bhakti Yoga as attitude or spirit, religious, attitude of someone that is working into transforming one's emotions, raga dvesha, related to devotion, love, gratitude, and appreciation for the opportunity. Most of all our human emotion, they come from our likes and dislikes, raga dvesha, desires and fears. And now we invite to convert those human emotions into devotion, love, gratitude, and reverence for the Lord, for the miracle of life. Therefore, Bhakti Yoga is the key, although it's not a spiritual path by itself, even though here and there, Ramana Maharaj and some other people say that there are two paths. One is knowledge, another is devotion. And if you begin with devotion, you have to end up in jnana, because only by jnana you're going to recognize that you're already free. And if you begin with jnana, you need to end up with bhakti, because jnana alone without bhakti is not going to purify the ego to the extent that you are blessed with self-knowledge. And then devotion, surrender to God. Oh God, I have done everything. I am a human being. I have many flaws, many defects, many impurities. I understood you. I prayed to you, and so on. I have done many sadhanas. I'm trying to internalize this knowledge. But now I understood only by your blessing alone, I may realize that which has always been realized, but not actualized, so to speak, so far. So among all the bhaktis, the Jnana Yoga bhaktis is the final and most elevated bhakti, which means when you come to the Jnana Yoga devotion, you came to Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, and you must understand that that as well is the Lord manifesting itself as the teachings of the Upanishads before you, so that you can listen to the teachings, reflect, and do your meditation in Nidhyasana to further internalize this understanding, transformative understandings. So, and without this Jnana Yoga, the Bhakti Yoga is incomplete. Bhakti Yoga must be complete by Manana, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, Upanishadic Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Because when we go through the teachings of Karma Yoga, we still go through Shravana, Manana, and application of those teachings and principles. You know? Sometimes I like to remind people that even Karma Yoga is knowledge yoga, and you have to listen, you have to reflect, and you have to integrate that in your life or internalize that in your life. If a person follow these 5 steps stage as a refining, ever refining bhakti attitude, certainly the person have gone through all these levels and come to Upanishad Jnana Yoga, its final stage. Therefore, the person is ready to become a Jnani, and by Vedanta Shravana Manana Nidhyasa, the jnana that he receives is that I'm not apart from Brahman. Brahman is my very nature. I heard that, I understood that, but somehow I still see some division or separation. I cannot really embrace completely Advaita. I still see a division between myself and Brahman. So the person is at that stage and needs much nididhyasana and even prayers to pray uh, until it understands that there is no distance, there is no division, there is no separation, because it's my intrinsic true nature as conscious existence. The separation was due to my delusion, my lack of clarity. Some sattva guna is missing to turn that indirect knowledge into direct knowledge. Delusion, I still project duality between I and my intrinsic nature, which is the most absurd thing, because if it's my intrinsic nature, I can never see it as something other than myself. The distance between I, myself, and my intrinsic nature was there before due to delusion. It's a notional distance or separation, which must be removed by nididhyasana, profound nididhyasana. I'm not away from the Lord. The Lord is not something other than myself. The knowledge is my true nature, is what I am fundamentally. And what I am fundamentally is not the mind, is not the intellect, it's not the physical body, it's not the causal body, it's consciousness. I am that Brahman, Aham Saha Asmi. I am that Brahman is I, and so on. You can invert that sequence as well. The person has gained this knowledge. It's called a person who has it, Paramahamsa, Paramahamsa, Aham Saha. This I am, or I am that I, in other words, Tatvamasi or Aham Brahmasmi, I am that Brahman. The one who has clearly grasped this, I am that Brahman, is called Paramahamsa. And that's why the mantra is also called Paramahamsa mantra. Soham, Hamsa, Aham, Soham, blah, 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 blah. This combination is possible only by a growing spirit or attitude of devotion. We have seen it in the last class. Advaita Bhakti is synonymous of Jnana Nishta. Jnana Nishta is a firm self-knowledge. Knowledge, Aham Brahmasmi, I am that Brahman, everything is that Brahman, is doubtless and properly internalized to the extent that I see no shades of doubt in respect to the oneness between I and my true nature, my intrinsic nature as Brahman. Okay. Are we good for tomorrow? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you.
Tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Arlindo. See you tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye.